Today we're dissecting 15 chilling examples of how truth-adjacent manipulation starts wars, destroys lives, and shapes history, without ever technically lying. By the end, you'll never trust a half-truth the same way again. 1. The half-truth that started a war. A lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on. By Winston Churchill. In 1964, US President Lyndon B. Johnson needed justification to escalate the Vietnam War. His administration released the Gulf of Tonkin incident report, claiming that North Vietnamese boats had attacked American destroyers unprovoked. The truth: the first attack likely never happened. Sonar readings were misread, and sailors later admitted they may have mistaken radar echoes for enemy boats. The second attack did occur, but only after the US had been conducting covert raids on North Vietnam. By framing the incident as an unprovoked aggression, Johnson and his advisors almost told the truth: there were naval engagements, but omitted the crucial context that the US had been provoking North Vietnam for months. Congress passed the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, granting Johnson unchecked war powers. The Vietnam War escalated, leading to 58,000 American deaths and millions of Vietnamese casualties. 2. The corporate spin that killed trust. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. By Warren Buffett. In 2015, Volkswagen was exposed for Dieselgate, a scheme where they installed software in cars to cheat emissions tests, while actually polluting 40 times the legal limit. When first questioned, Volkswagen didn't technically lie. They said, "Our cars meet all regulatory requirements." True, during tests. "We are committed to environmental responsibility." True, in press releases. They almost told the truth, but omitted the fact that their cars only met standards in lab conditions, not in real-world driving. Volkswagen paid $30 billion in fines, executives were jailed, and the company's reputation was shattered. 3. The political non-denial denial. The cleverest of all, in my opinion, is the man who calls himself a fool at least once a month. By Fyodor Dostoevsky. During the Watergate scandal, President Nixon's press secretary, Ron Ziegler, famously dismissed allegations as inoperative. When reporters asked if Nixon was involved, Ziegler didn't say no. Instead, he said, "The president's position is as stated," meaningless. Previous statements are now inoperative, a fancy way of saying, "We lied before, but we're not admitting it now." This was truth adjacent. He didn't technically lie, but he avoided admitting guilt. Nixon resigned in disgrace, proving that even the most carefully crafted deception collapses under scrutiny. 4. The media's selective truth in the run-up to war. The press is the enemy. By Richard Nixon, ironically. In 2003, the New York Times and other major outlets ran stories about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, citing anonymous government sources. The reports weren't false. They did cite officials who believed in WMDs, but they omitted. The sources had agendas. Many intelligence analysts disputed the claims. The Bush administration was pressuring agencies to confirm their narrative. By almost telling the truth, reporting what officials said without proper skepticism, the media became an unwitting propaganda tool. The Iraq War began, leading to hundreds of thousands of deaths, all based on a distorted truth. 5. The cult leader who twisted reality. The easiest way to control people is to make them think they're free. By Jim Jones. Jim Jones, leader of the People's Temple, initially presented himself as a progressive civil rights activist. He preached racial equality, socialism, and charity. Everything he said was technically true, but twisted. We are building a paradise. True, if you consider forced labor and brainwashing paradise. The government is out to get us. True, because he was running a fraudulent, abusive cult. By mixing truth with paranoia, he convinced 900 people to follow him to Guyana, where he orchestrated the Jonestown Massacre. The largest mass suicide in modern history, all under the guise of almost telling the truth. 6. The lawyer who almost admitted guilt. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. By Mark Twain. In the infamous O.J. Simpson trial, defense attorney Johnny Cochran famously declared, "If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit." The glove didn't fit, but not because Simpson was innocent. The defense omitted that Simpson had stopped taking arthritis meds, making his hands swell. Ignored that the glove had shrunk from blood exposure. Framed the misfit as proof of police corruption. By focusing on one sliver of truth, the glove's poor fit, they distracted from overwhelming DNA evidence. Simpson walked free, proving that a well-placed half-truth can override a mountain of facts. 7. The CEO who almost took responsibility. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. By Ernest Hemingway. In 2018, Facebook's Cambridge Analytica scandal erupted, revealing that 87 million users' data had been harvested for political manipulation. Mark Zuckerberg's response was a masterclass in almost accountability. We made mistakes, true but vague. We will do better, true but no specifics. This was a breach of trust, true but shifting blame to third parties. He never admitted Facebook's core business model, selling data, was the problem, just that mistakes were made. Public outrage faded. Facebook's stock recovered within months. A multi-billion-dollar fine was just a cost of doing business. 8. The government that almost revealed the truth. The further a society drifts from truth, the more it will hate those who speak it. By George Orwell. After Edward Snowden leaked NSA mass surveillance programs in 2013, US officials responded with limited hangout, a spy tactic where you admit just enough to seem transparent while hiding the worst. Officials confirmed some surveillance, but downplayed its scale, only metadata. Claimed it was for terrorism prevention, omitting domestic spying. Vilified Snowden as a traitor, shifting focus from the crimes he exposed. Public debate shifted to Snowden's ethics rather than government overreach. The surveillance state expanded. 9. The scientist who almost debunked his own fraud. A little science distances you from God, but a lot of science brings you back to him. By Louis Pasteur. In 1998, Andrew Wakefield published a fraudulent study linking vaccines to autism. When exposed, he almost confessed, but in a way that kept the myth alive. His retreat was carefully worded. Further research is needed, implying doubt, not admitting fraud. I never said vaccines cause autism. True, he implied it. Parents should have a choice, appealing to emotion over facts. The anti-vax movement exploded. Measles outbreaks returned. Children died, all because of a deliberately vague retraction. 10. The cult of personality that almost loved its people. Power does not corrupt, fear corrupts, perhaps the fear of a loss of power. By John Steinbeck. North Korea's propaganda is built on almost truths. When Kim Jong-un gifts food during famines, state media declares our dear leader provides for his people. The truth? The food was stolen aid. The famine was caused by regime policies. The gifts were a fraction of what was needed, but by framing scraps as generosity, the regime turns oppression into proof of love. Millions starve while worshipping their tormentor. 11. The pharmaceutical company that almost cured depression. The greatest lies are often told in silence. By Robert Louis Stevenson. In the 1990s, Pfizer heavily marketed Zoloft as a miracle antidepressant with minimal side effects. Their ads featured smiling patients saying, "I got my life back." Clinical trials showed Zoloft was only slightly more effective than placebos, but this was buried in fine print. The company downplayed withdrawal symptoms, calling them discontinuation syndrome. They funded independent studies that overstated benefits while ignoring risks. Millions became dependent on antidepressants, believing they needed them, while Pfizer made billions. 12. The spy who almost defected. The best way to deceive a man is to let him deceive himself. By Napoleon Bonaparte. During the Cold War, Yuri Nosenko, a KGB officer, defected to the US in 1964, claiming to expose Soviet secrets. He confirmed some truths, like Soviet spy tactics, but mixed them with false leads. The CIA later suspected he was a dangle, a fake defector sent to mislead them. His testimony delayed investigations into real moles, like Aldrich Ames. The CIA wasted years chasing ghosts, while real spies operated freely. 13. The media outlet that almost exposed a scandal. The media is the most powerful entity on Earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent. By Malcolm X. In 2016, CNN obtained a leaked tape of Donald Trump saying, "Grab 'em by the pussy." They played the clip endlessly, framing it as proof of misogyny, but they omitted that the tape was 11 years old and part of a private conversation. They ignored similar behavior by politicians they favored, for example, Bill Clinton. The outrage was real, but the selective reporting deepened political polarization. 14. The cult that almost saved the world. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. By Friedrich Nietzsche. Heaven's Gate, a UFO cult, promised members they'd ascend to a higher plane by leaving their earthly bodies. Leader Marshall Applewhite mixed real astronomy terms, like the Hale-Bopp comet, with fantasy. He cited NASA press releases to prove a spaceship was coming. Members were told, "You're not committing suicide, you're evolving." In 1997, 39 people drank poison believing they'd board an alien spacecraft. 15. The tech company that almost protected privacy. The illusion of freedom will continue as long as it's profitable to continue the illusion. By Frank Zappa. Facebook "Don't Be Evil" motto was long touted as proof of their integrity. They claimed to protect user data while selling ads based on it. They framed tracking as personalization. When caught, they'd say, "We're improving transparency," while making policies more confusing. Facebook became a surveillance giant, all while pretending to be the good guy. So where have you spotted this tactic? In politics, advertising, a toxic relationship? The scariest part isn't the outright lies, it's the almost truths, the omissions, the carefully crafted distortions that let manipulators control narratives while keeping their hands technically clean. Now that you see the pattern, you'll catch it everywhere. Drop a comment below. What's the most unsettling half-truth you've ever encountered? And if this opened your eyes, smash that like button and subscribe. We expose psychological manipulation, power tactics, and the dark art of persuasion every week. Stay skeptical, because the most dangerous deceivers don't need to lie. They just need you to think they're honest.